Hello, I am the Story Girl, and welcome to the story of the boy who visited the North Wind. It was the week before Thanksgiving dinner, and there was a mother cooking up a very large feast, and she asked her little boy, go into the pantry and get me a cup full of flour. Well, it just so happened the pantry was in the shed outside the house, and so he rushed out of the shed, scooped up some of the flour, and was on his way back when a great big gust of north wind came and puff all of the flour out of the boy's hands. Well, no matter, he thought. He trotted on back to the pantry and he scooped up the last scoop of flour that they had in the shed, and he was trotting back to the house when a great gust from the north wind, poof, and flew all the flour away. Well, that's not right, thought the boy. The north wind can't have all the flour and us have none, especially right during Thanksgiving, too. I will just go and have a talk with that north wind. And so he trotted off north to find the north wind. We went as far north as his little legs could carry him till he came to a great big cavern. And inside was the north wind, roaring and banging about the place. And the boy went up and said, "Hello, Mr. North Wind." "Hello!" roared the north wind. The north wind couldn't say anything softly if he tried. "And what can I do for you, my fine fellow?" "Well, you see, Mr. North Wind, I was just getting some flour from my shed for Thanksgiving dinner, and you blew it all away, and I would like it back, please." "I don't have any flour," roared the north wind, "but I do have that cloth in the corner. It may do you some good. All you have to do is lay out the cloth and say, 'Cloth, spread me a fine dinner.'" Well, that sounded good enough to the boy, so he scooped up the cloth and trotted off back home. Well, he'd been gone so long that he would have to stop at an inn before he reached home, and so he stopped at an inn on the way home. He went in and he got arranged for his lodgings, and he just thought he would try out his tablecloth. So he spread the tablecloth out onto a corner of the inn table and said, "Cloth, lay me a fine dinner." And just as the words were spoken, the tablecloth began to produce all kinds of good things to eat. Turkeys and hams and roasts and potatoes and vegetables, with all of the beautiful aromas perfectly cooked coming up to the boy's nose, while he carved himself some of the meat and scooped everything onto a plate and ate as quickly as he could. Well, he was so busy eating his meal, he didn't realize that the innkeeper's wife had been watching what he was doing the whole time. Said she, "That cloth would be a good thing to have in my business. I'll see what I can do." That night, while the boy was asleep in one of the innkeeper's rooms, she crept into the room and swapped the tablecloth for a perfectly ordinary tablecloth that looked just like the one from the north wind, and crept away with it. Well, the next day, the boy, having no idea what had happened, scooped up the regular tablecloth and trotted on home. And he went into the house and he said, "Mother," and she said, "Did you bring in the flour?" And he said, "No, I didn't. The north wind took it away, but I went and I talked to that old grouch of a north wind, and he gave me this very nice tablecloth. It will make a meal even better than one we can make ourselves." Said the mother, "I'll believe that when I see it." And so the boy laid out the tablecloth and said, "Cloth, spread me a fine dinner." Of course, nothing happened. "Well, seems as that old north wind has cheated me," said the boy, and he trotted back to the north wind's cave. "Mr. North Wind," said the boy, "Oh, it's you again!" roared the North Wind. "What can I do for you?" "Well, you see, Mr. North Wind, I would just like my flour back. That tablecloth you gave me was a dud." Said the North Wind. "I don't have any flour, but I do have that goat in the corner. It might do you some good. All you have to do is say, 'Goat, make me money.'" Well, that sounded good to the boy, and so he picked up the rope that was around the goat's neck and led the goat off. Well, just as the time before, he had to stop at the very same inn where he had stopped with his cloth. Well, just as he was going in, he thought it would be a good idea to check to make sure the goat was really what the North Wind said it was. So he said, "Goat, make money." And as soon as he had said it, gold coins began to fall out of the goat's mouth. And he scooped it up and used it to pay for his room and board while he was at the inn. Well, the innkeeper's wife had been watching, and she thought, a goat like that would be a very good thing to have in my business. And as soon as the boy had gone to sleep, she swapped the goat for one that looked just like it, but couldn't make money, and led the goat away. Well, the same thing transpired. The boy, not knowing what had happened, led the goat back to his mother and tried to get it to make money, but of course, the goat couldn't make money any more than it could sing or do a tap dance. And so the boy said, "Mother, I'll just go and have another talk with that North Wind. He's cheated us again." And so the boy went back to the cave and said, "Mr. North Wind, it's you again," said the North Wind. "Yes, it's me. I can't understand why you keep giving me things that don't work. That goat didn't do a thing for me. I'll just have my flour back, please." "I told you I have no flour, but the last thing I have is that stick in the corner. You can take it, it might do you good. All you have to do is say, 'Stick, lay on.'" Well, that sounded good enough to the boy, so he picked up the stick and put it over his shoulder and trotted off to the inn. Well, by this time, the boy is beginning to have ideas about what kind of inn he had been staying at. So he paid for his room and board. He went up to his room and set the stick carefully in a corner, and then lay down, apparently asleep. Well, the innkeeper's wife had noticed that it was the same boy that had given her such a fine tablecloth and a fine goat. She just thought it might be a good thing to have the stick as well. So she crept up to his room and opened the door and grabbed the stick, but just as she did, the boy popped up and said, "Stick, lay on!" And just as soon as he said that, the stick began to wallop her about the head faster than she could think. Smack, 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 smack. No, get it off, smack, 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 smack. "I will only take it off if you give me back my goat and my tablecloth," said the boy. I will, said the innkeeper's wife. And the boy said, "Stick, lay off." And the stick lay down on the floor. A harmless, innocent-looking stick. Well, the innkeeper's wife rushed off and got the goat and the tablecloth and brought it back to the boy, who took both treasures, including the stick, back to his mother. And they had a fine Thanksgiving feast indeed. The end. I am the story girl, though some people have asked me to be their makeup designer once upon a time. Thank you for joining the story today. You may have noticed that the boy in this story had a very simple solution for an insurmountable problem. The North Wind took the flour. I'll just go and have a chat with the North Wind. A lot of times in stories, the solution is much simpler than what it really is in real life for us. So if you ever find yourself telling a story, switch it up a little bit. Instead of making it hard, find an easy solution and see where the story takes you. If you'd enjoyed this story about a boy and his mother at Thanksgiving time, please like and subscribe so that you can join us for the rest of our Thanksgiving stories for this November. Thank you for joining. I'll see you next time.